guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Destiny and I'm so glad that you clicked onto this video. I'm so excited to do this video. I've been wanting to do it for a while now, but I'm glad I'm doing it now because I'm officially at my 6-month mark with breastfeeding, and it has definitely been a journey and I'm loving it. So I wanted to share just my journey, my thoughts, products I've been using, things that I have been working for me. So I just want to start off this video by saying fed is best. Whatever any mom is out there doing to keep their baby fed and gaining weight and remain healthy is amazing and a blessing. So I just want to start by saying that these are all of my thoughts. Every mom's experience is different and we have to definitely appreciate that. So this is going to be my thoughts, my journey, what's worked for me, and I hope that it will help someone in the future or right now if you guys are looking for different tips or tricks to breastfeeding or just want to hear my experience. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. So I made a whole note on my phone about everything I wanted to talk about. Mom brain is real even post-pregnancy, so I just got some notes down that I want to discuss about my breastfeeding journey. And the first one I want to start with is the beginning. So I had my baby in January, on January 7th, 2021. So he is 6 months and like a week old now. So I feel like I am, at a good point with my breastfeeding journey. I know, what to expect on a daily basis. I have my schedule, but the beginning of my journey was definitely insightful. It was kind of a shock to me, honestly. So I did no research prior to my baby being delivered. All I knew was that I wanted to breastfeed. I just knew that I wanted to try it. No one in my family really has breastfed. My mom tried it on occasions but didn't continue with it. It just wasn't the route that she wanted to go with or continue with, but she did try it. So I saw like small glimpse of that, but I'd never had like someone in my immediate family that I knew of that was solely breastfeeding. So it would be a new journey for me. I didn't have anyone to, ask for advice. And I honestly, it didn't even cross my mind to do any type of research on breastfeeding. It definitely is for me something that I had to just be thrown into when my baby was delivered. So my baby is exclusively breastfed. We don't do any formula. I strictly give him my milk and he's had that since day one. So I will go into depth of how that started because we did have to wait for my milk to come in and what we did in the time that took to come in. So the beginning, I did no research, as I mentioned, so I kind of went in blind. My baby was born 5 days early, and of course, or I didn't know this, but your milk basically starts coming in when your placenta detaches from you. So when you deliver your placenta is when it kind of triggers your body into starting producing the milk. So my baby was born and I told them immediately that I wanted to breastfeed. They ask you, what you prefer in the hospital. My baby was vaginally delivered and I delivered the placenta after he came out, and they already knew my plans of wanting to try breastfeeding. So like I mentioned, I just wanted to try it. I knew I always wanted to try it, see how it went. For me, I just thought that was the most natural way to go. I didn't do much research on formula at all. I just knew that some moms that I watch here on YouTube, they do outsource their formula, in which they get it from overseas because I guess it's better over there. I honestly just never went into depth of doing much research with formula. I just knew I wanted to breastfeed. So I wanted to try that first before I entertained anything else. So yeah, you just alert the staff of your hospital, your nurses, let them know that you wish to do that. I did that. So my baby was latched for the first time on my left side and he latched immediately. I do feel like when they put him on my boob, they didn't put him correctly on my nipple, but that kind of really like damaged my nipple in the beginning. I'm gonna immediately say my nipples were torn to shreds the first week. I had blood coming out of them. My baby had blood in his mouth. Like, it was a rough start, and I want to say that is normal. Your boobs are not used to being fed off of or providing like a food source to anyone. They've just been chilling this whole time, so it's a shock for them as well. So you have to just let your body kind of get used to everything that's going on. It's definitely a transformation, a transition with your body, and your nipples are going to go through that hard time in the beginning, but it does get better. I want to say, you know, don't let that kind of knock you from continuing, because that's where you kind of get over that hump. I will say in the first few days, I was really contemplating, like, am I going to continue with this? And I was just like giving myself a few more days. I was like, 2 more days, you know, see how it goes, because it does get really painful in the beginning. It is. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It is painful in the beginning. So the first few days, I'm waiting for my milk to come in. He was nursing in the hospital. We stayed in the hospital for 1 night post-delivery, and then we went home the second day of his life. So we were home, and we had his doctor's appointment with his pediatrician. He had lost some weight from his birth weight, which is normal. It's completely normal to do this with with babies, because, you know, they come out and, you know, they do their first poop and their stomachs are like literally the size of a pebble, so they don't need that much food. And also, you're waiting for your milk to come in. So during those first few days, I remember I was so stressed out, just wanting my milk to come in. And we went to the pediatrician. They saw that he had dropped some birth weight, so she did recommend supplementing with formula. So we did a supplemental formula for the first 2 days of his life, I believe. So he had that just as we were waiting for my milk to come in. And there's no shame at that. It's normal for you to have to possibly supplement. And this was news to me. Like, I didn't know if I was doing something wrong, or, you know, my body was just taking its precious time. And I was just like, come on. Stress doesn't help, of course, but I was glad in those few moments that he did have that supplemental formula. So he was getting fed. It does not take a lot to feed a newborn at all. But I will include pictures of what it looked like when my breast milk was starting to come in. You definitely feel it. Your boobs get super engorged. I felt it definitely in my armpit area. It just got so like thick because your milk's just like pouring in. So definitely I would say by day 5, my milk had come in and like solidified. Those first few days, your milk is super yellow because it's colostrum, and it's super nutritious for your baby. I will include pictures, like I mentioned, of what it looked like. So I was so happy. I felt like on top of the world, like, yes. And I was like, no milk's gonna come in. Like, I don't believe it. But your body literally does this for you. It's super natural, and you just feel awesome when it comes in. I felt great. Now, again, this is my experience. My milk came in around day 6. Day 7, it definitely started coming in, and we were able to ditch the supplemental formula all the way. And ever since then, Crew has been completely breastfed. I've been able to sustain my milk supply, continue that, even start a stash. So I have a freezer stash of milk, and he is completely breastfed. Yeah, so I will go into all that in a jiffy. So that was the beginning of my breastfeeding journey. After my milk came in, we were kind of solidifying our schedule, making sure that we fed on demand. In those first few months, you're just feeding on demand, kind of getting a feel for how much your baby needs, when they want to eat, watching those feeding cues, and we were just breastfeeding on demand. I did know that I wanted to utilize my breast pump in order to have a freezer stash, and also so that my husband could help me during the nighttime feedings, so that he could have a bottle at night. So that was my main goal with the breast pump in the beginning, was so that my husband could help with those like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. feedings. And I would just have a bottle in the fridge that he could heat up and have my breast milk in a bottle so that I could get some sleep. So in the beginning, if you do have, you know, a partner that can assist with that, and you want to help with that or help yourself get some rest, I definitely recommend getting a breast pump. I made sure to have a breast pump before my baby was born. So that's one thing I did to help me in the process of transitioning to be a mom, is I went through my insurance and got a breast pump. I will go through all the products that I have and link those in the description for you guys. But I made sure to have my breast pump before my baby was born. So I had that, and I just breast pumped. I pumped in the beginning. So I pumped directly in the beginning, morning and night. I would sometimes do a middle of the day pump just to see and like make sure that my boobs were getting attention, making sure they were knowing that I needed that milk to come in. Because in the beginning, the more you breastfeed, the more you're telling your body that you need the milk for your baby, and your body will respond to that. So that's the purpose of the breast pump, is just when my baby is sleeping, newborns sleep a lot, It's to keep your boobs activated so that they know, like, no, I need you guys, and you guys need to provide milk for the baby. So I was glad I had that in the beginning. But yeah, anything else about the beginning, it was definitely a shock just to know like how demanding breastfeeding is. It's a new process that you have to put into your life. First time mom here, I didn't know anything, but it definitely gets better, and your baby will work with you as well. So I'm very blessed that my baby is an awesome latcher. He does not get confused between my nipple or a bottle. He did not have any tongue ties or issues with his mouth into where he couldn't be put on my breast. He's crying right now if you guys can hear that. But yeah, that's the beginning. So let's move on to the next stage. I want to talk about my daily schedule. My daily schedule with breastfeeding is I pump once in the AM, which is around 8 a.m. ish, can change depending on when baby wakes up, and then I pump before I go to bed. In the morning, crew will breastfeed in the morning, and I will just follow up with that with a pump just to make sure I get all the milk out, so that for the remainder of the day I'm just, you know, refilling and providing more milk for my baby. That's the reason I pump in the morning. Sometimes it gets stored, sometimes he eats it in the middle of the day. I am a working mom, I work from home, so if I'm busy or on a meeting, he can have that milk during the day, and then we can just reconvene with breastfeeding when I'm available. When I pump in the PM, it is to empty my boobs for the remainder of the day, and because my baby sleeps longer at night, I am not getting engorged in the middle of the night. So I'm making sure I'm emptying my boobs right before I go to sleep so that I can have a nice sleep. My baby's gonna be asleep. He's not gonna need to eat until about early morning. So I go about 6 hours, sometimes 8 hours without feeding. So it's important to empty your boobs out before then, because you don't wanna wake up with engorged boobs. That's happened to me. It happened definitely in the beginning because you don't know how long your baby's gonna sleep. So you wake up with engorged boobs, and it's great because your baby will just eat it up, and it feels so much better when they eat they eat from you, and it lets that engorging go down. I do want to say I have not gotten mastitis. I haven't gotten any kind of blocked ducts. Let me knock on wood, because I don't want that to happen, but I make sure that I'm always emptying and always feeding on demand. If my baby sleeps longer, I make sure to pump before I go to sleep. I have not missed a pump before I went to sleep yet. I always pump twice a day, so AM and PM, and that is my schedule. In between that, I'm breastfeeding on demand. I'm breastfeeding pretty much every 2 hours now that my baby is 6 months. He still is eating every 2 to 2.5 hours. So I breastfeed, and that keeps my boobs stimulated and keep them on their toes and making sure that they're still producing milk. Of course, my AM pump is going to be more milk because it was able to store all night long. So my AM pump is a lot more milk, and I pump about 6 to 7 ounces in the morning. That's from both boobs combined. And then at night before I go to bed, I pump about 4 to 5 ounces. So that's my typical amount that I get. And I don't see, any other milk out aside of my pump, because I'm breastfeeding, for the remainder of the day. So I just see how much I produce in the morning, and I see how much I produce in the evening. And that is my daily schedule. 2 pumps, breastfeeding for the remainder of the day. Third thing that I want to talk about are the products that I've used, am using, what's worked, what didn't work, things like that. So in the beginning, I will say this pillow, this is the Breast Friend pillow. I got mine off of Amazon. They sell them in many different areas. I think they sell them at Bye Bye Baby, Walmart, Amazon. I will provide a link down below. But this I used for probably the first 2.5 to 3 months of Crew's life. I love this pillow. It provides so much support, and it's adjustable. It has a pocket, and I would keep his little vitamin D drops in here. We do use vitamin D drops. Breastfeeding moms have to provide the vitamin D through that to ensure that your baby's getting vitamin D. So I always kept those right in the front pocket here, so that when I was feeding, I could just grab that and not forget. It has back support. It has this buckle, so it attaches to your waist, and I'll just show you guys how it goes on. It's so easy, and you can bring it up to you. You can bring it lower depending on where you feel comfortable. It has 2 raised edges, if you guys can see that, and your baby can just lay here. You can just provide minimal support, and it's awesome. So I no longer use this because my baby's just gotten so much bigger, but it's perfect in those first few months when they're really small and they just need a little bit more help, you know, positioning them on your boob. This is awesome. I definitely stand this product. I think it's about $36. I will leave a link like I mentioned, but I love this. I highly suggest this for any new breastfeeding moms. It's great for your support, positioning, and just to ensure that they're comfortable. So I love this. In the beginning, I was so focused on maximizing my supply because I wanted to have a freezer stash just in case I ever left the house or I had to go into the office, anything like that. I always wanted backup milk. Now my freezer supply has gotten crazy because I stashed up so much. I pumped those 2 times, so I usually have backup milk that I can store, which is a blessing. I'm so glad that I'm able to have a freezer stash. So in the beginning, I was so like putting so much emphasis on increasing my supply. So a few products that I use for that are these Milky Mama Lady Leche drops. As you guys can see, I pretty much use the whole thing. I did 2 of these drops a day. I honestly don't know if these products help me, but I just used them. I used it all the way through. I figured I spent money on it and I wanted to use it. So maybe it helped. I don't honestly know. I don't know if it would have not helped if I didn't use it, but I'm just sharing what I used in the beginning to solidify my supply. But I use these Lady Leche drops and I use 2 a day. That's one thing. The second thing that I also used, which I will put a picture here, is the mother's milk tea. I got mine from Target. I know they sell these in Walmart, Target, Shoppers, Giant, but I use that tea. I drank it for I drank the entire pack that I got. So maybe like 2 weeks with the tea bags. I didn't want to waste them. You do have to be very careful with these products because it can upset your baby's tummy. Their tummies are super sensitive in the beginning, so just keep an eye on that. I think it's called fenugreek is one of the ingredients in that mother's milk tea that can upset your baby's tummy. Thankfully, my baby never showed signs that it was affecting him, so I just continued to use it. I do feel like the mother's milk tea helped kind of increase my supply. It has a herbally taste, but I liked it. I added a little bit of creamer to it and that worked for me as well. So I just used it up until it ran out and I like that product a lot. The other thing that I used that I thought I read up on that it would help my supply is some flaxseed and brewer's yeast powder. So I got these products off of Amazon. You can put these in smoothies. I made some muffins with these products. As you can see, they're pretty full because I didn't continue with them because it was just a lot more work. I don't drink smoothies on a daily basis, but if you do, it's great to just add these as little boosters for your breast milk. I heard really good things about Brewer's yeast powder. I got the Mama Knows Best brand. It doesn't really have a taste, but it does at the same time. But you can use these to try out, you know, boosting up your supply. The best thing is water. I always drink a lot of water. This is my Yeti. I fill it multiple times a day. Water helps your breast milk supply like no other. So just stay hydrated is the best advice I can give. The last thing that I use, and you should be using if you are breastfeeding, is prenatals or postnatals. I just use my prenatal. I use these during pregnancy. You can use them if you're breastfeeding as well, which it says in the packaging, and I like it. It doesn't provide any side effects, so I just continue with this product. I use the 1-a-day prenatals, and it's a multivitamin. Comes with 60 in there, so I just re-up when I need to, but I pop one of these once a day. Those are like the vitamin type products. I will go into the breastfeeding products like the pumps and stuff. So in the beginning, like I mentioned, I got a pump. I got the Lancino double electric pump, which I used for about 2 months. I like this pump, but I wanted to also see what other pumps were out there. I got both of these pumps through my insurance, so I did not have to pay full price for them, which is a blessing. Definitely check that out and see what your options are. So I will provide options of double electric pumps, but I also use some hand pumps. So let me show you guys what I use. I like the Lancino double electric, but I want to see what the Medela had, you know. So I got the Medela pump and style. double electric pump. This is the one that I use on a daily basis now. I like it a lot. It comes with the 24mm flange, which is another important thing. If you are breastfeeding and want to use a pump, ensure that you have the correct pump flange size. I can use 24mm, but I prefer to use the 21mm, which is a secondary thing that does not come custom, like packaged with the Medela pump and style pump. So I got this flange off of Amazon. It's a 21mm, and I just feel like it grabs my nipple better. There are ways to measure your pump size, so definitely just Google that. That's what I did, and I just found out that I'm actually a 21mm. It's very important. It will maximize your output when you're breast pumping, and it's important to have the right size. Just like the right size bra, it's important to have the right size flange. So I got the 21mm. These are the bottles it comes with Medela Pump and Style, and I use this for my daily pump. So I pump with this 2 times a day in the AM and PM. I like it a lot. I feel like it gets maximum milk out of my boobs. It empties me, so this is a win. So another pump that I used in the beginning was a hand pump. So I got this Lancino hand pump, and I like this in the beginning because I could just stay in bed and just manually express my boobs. And I love this. I don't use it anymore just because it's more convenient for me to just, you know, hook myself up to the double electric pump. But this is definitely a plus for me. I would recommend just try it out. I think in the beginning with all types of moms, just try out different products if you're able to, because you never know what you would like or what you're missing out on. Like the Medela Pump and Style. I had the Lancino one in the beginning, but I really like the Medela Pump and Style. And then I tried this, and I like this as well. I would bring this like if I was traveling and I needed to pump in the car. I like this. So it gets out 6 ounces. Like I can still get 6 ounces out of this. It just takes a little bit more to get it out, but it definitely does work. I just use the flange that it comes with. You could put the 21mm on this as well, because it just pops right off and you just put whatever flange you need to. But this worked for me, and I used it for about 2 months, but now it's just more convenient for me to hook myself up and not have to worry about manually doing it. But it's a win. I like it. If you like manual hand pumps, definitely try it out. I like that one. I got mine from Target. I will link it below. The other option that I wanted to try out was this Haka. So I saw a lot of reviews about the Haka. You basically attach it to your nipple, and it just attaches, and it catches any letdown while you're nursing. So this did not really work out well for me. I'm not a fan, but that's me personally. I know some moms that love this and get a lot of letdown. Whenever I would use it, I would only get like an ounce, so I didn't really see the benefits to it, honestly. I just found it was better for me to pump at the end of the day, or just, you know, let it go. I mean, it just wasn't a big thing, but I'm glad it's not too pricey or too costly. It's about $12 on Amazon. I will link it below. I used it a few times in the beginning, but it just wasn't a product that stuck with me. But I think it's worth it to give it a try and see if it works for you. So, the Haka. The other thing that I use as far as products with storage wise are the Lancino breast milk storage bags. I use these whenever I'm pumping and I need to store my milk either in the refrigerator or the freezer. I just get the pack of 100 on Amazon because I go through these fast, if you guys can imagine. But you just open these up and you can label it, put the date and time on there. I use these. I will show you guys a clip of my freezer. It's filled up with these. You lay it on its like side when you're freezing it, so the milk can just gather in there, and they're easier to store when you put them like that. So I use these. I like them. They're the only breast milk bags that I've tried out. I know some people like the Medela breast milk storage bags, but I really prefer the Lancino ones. So that's that. I'm trying to think. There was a wearable pump that I tried out. I will link it below. I also featured it in my recent vlog. I just haven't had that much use of it, so I didn't want to put it in this video. All these products that I have shown, I've definitely used and tried out. I just haven't tried that wearable pump that much, but I will link it below. I found it on TikTok. It's a way more affordable pump. versus the LV and the Willow. So it's a wearable, rechargeable pump that you can walk around and pump with. I like it. I don't see it getting as much output than my traditional like double electric pump, but it's worth a shot. I will link it below so you guys have an option with that type of pump. All right, my last thing with products I want to talk about are the bras that you need. The bras are important, especially with pumping or just with breastfeeding in public or just on the go when you're in the house. Sometimes I just go bare and don't wear a bra because it's more comfortable that way, but sometimes I do like that support and just be able to open myself up to allow my baby to breastfeed. I get all of my bras off of Amazon. I was gifted a few from my friend, which I will link below as well, but I get a majority of mine from Amazon. I love them. I love the brand Hofish, which is one of the brands on Amazon, and I really love these. These are probably my favorite ones. I'll show you guys. I like the ones that kind of cross over like this because you can just pop your boob out and put it back in, and they're just the easier ones. I also like the ones that clip. So this one like clips and you just can clip it down. And then I also have breastfeeding bras that are specifically made for pumping, which is important. I mean, you don't want to be holding up those flanges the whole time, so I just use these to insert my breast pump flanges in, so I can be hands-free while I'm pumping, and that's an option too. So I love this one as well. I will link all my bras down below. Really inexpensive, very comfortable. I swear by them. I like them a lot. Check them out if you're a breastfeeding mom. Check these out. Check the links out. They'll be down below. My last little area that I want to cover before I get into questions that I received is the apps that I use. So in the beginning, we were completely just using the Notes app. I would just write on here when I was when I had last fed, so that I can keep like a schedule of like when my baby last ate. Sometimes they'll be so tired that they don't realize that they're hungry, and they kind of will go longer than you want them to go, and then you'll feel it in your boobs. So you want to just make sure that you stay on a schedule with just making sure they're feeding on demand, making sure you don't go too far, you know, without feeding them or without pumping. I would just make a note of like when was the last time I fed my baby, so that I knew when, you know, he last ate. So we would just use the Notes app in the beginning, but now we use the Huckleberry app, which I love. We use it not only for breastfeeding, we use it for his sleeping, his changes, but I'll just specifically talk about how we use it for breastfeeding. So in this app, which I love, we use it for breastfeeding, and it has these two little stopwatches or timers depending on which side you're going to feed off of. So say I'm going to do the right, I just hit this and the time starts. So I can kind of manage how long he's eating. We do about 10 to 15 minutes on each side. I like to stop it at 10 so that he gets 10 minutes on this side, 10 minutes on this side. Now he's been able to kind of eat within 5 to 7 minutes on each side. Sometimes he eats just on one side. So it all depends on him and what he wants to do. But I like keeping a track of how long he's eaten on each side, and also the last time he ate. And this does it all for me. It also, whenever we have to give him a bottle, I can put how much he's eaten at what time, and that's also super helpful. So on here, he's saying he ate on the right side for 8 minutes 40 minutes ago, and I'm going to offer the left side in a little bit. Love this. I stay on this app. I love it, especially when your baby is more like about 3 months old. You can just track their sleep, and we do that. So you guys can see we track everything, but I just want to talk about how we track it for breastfeeding, and it works really well for us. So love this Huckleberry app. I will leave that below. Yeah, that's all of like the products that I use. I hope I didn't forget anything. Of course, if you guys have questions, leave them below and I will definitely try to get to them. But yeah, that's what I wanted to go over. I also got some questions in. I asked you guys on Instagram, you know, what are some questions that you have for me regarding breastfeeding? And I got some really interesting ones. So I want to go over those now. Question time, Q&A time, so exciting. So the first question says, do you have a set age you want to stop, or will you continue to feed even when he can walk? Good question. So I want to definitely breastfeed until he's 1 year old. After about 15 months, I think is the longest I want to go. we will, reconvene and talk about the situation from there. Right now I'm at the 6-month mark, so I for sure want to do until he's 1 year old, and then kind of see how we progress at that point. I definitely wouldn't be mad if we go until 15 months, but I definitely want to do it at that 1.5 range, just so that he can start weaning and he'll be more on solids at that time. So definitely till 1 year old. The second question says, how do you make sure you have enough milk? I know some women have a hard time. I was super nervous I wouldn't have enough milk. I got so nervous at our 1-month appointment where you have to check the baby's weight. I was so nervous that he was not, I just want to make sure he's getting enough. And you don't know when you're breastfeeding because they're just eating and you hope that they're getting enough. You don't see them physically drinking the milk. You just hear them gulping. So it's always so anxious when we go into the pediatrician's office because you just hope they're getting enough. Thankfully, he has been getting enough. He's been at the 50 percentile, 60 percentile in his weight group for his age. So I am so blessed. That's just how I know he's getting enough, just by making sure he's gaining weight every time we go into the doctors. I don't weigh him at home. So I just make sure he's getting enough by seeing that he's gaining weight. And that's the way that you see as a breastfeeding mom that he's eating enough. And thankfully he has been. He has not dropped in weight at all ever since day 2 of his life. After that hump, he's gained weight every time, and he's right in par in the median weight group of his age, and the doctor thinks it's great and he's doing well. So that's how I know he's getting enough. He's gaining weight. Any tips on avoiding nipple confusion? Personally, I never had any experience with nipple confusion. The only nipple confusion that my baby's had is just making sure that we find a bottle that works for him. We got a lot of different bottles when we were, pregnant, and people were gifting us things. We got a lot of different nipples, and my baby is very particular. He likes the Advent nipples. He does not like anything else outside of that. So that's the only type of deterrent where he showed that he did not like the type of nipple it was when we were trying to find the right bottle. But as for me, he's never turned away my boob. He's always latched since day 1, and I'm very blessed in that I have not had any nipple confusion, whether he uses a bottle or whether he breastfeeds with me. He only gets a bottle about once or twice a day. So for the remainder of that day, he's breastfeeding, and never any nipple confusion. I have seen that in forums that I've read, which if you guys don't read forums, I definitely highly suggest it because so many other moms are going through different things or the same things as you. I use What to Expect app, and I definitely just have joined groups. I've joined the breastfeeding group, and whenever I see or feel things, I go there and search it, and there's always a mom that's going through the same thing. So I highly suggest going through forums and joining a breastfeeding group. It's helped me so much. But whenever I have questions, I post in there and I get moms' feedback or different things that have worked for other moms, and I highly suggest that. But no real tips on nipples confusion because I did not experience that myself. Or the fourth question I have is, when should I start using bottles so husband can help with feeds? We did this immediately. I started pumping when my milk started to come in, and then when I pumped, I would just have some milk left over that I would put in a bottle for my husband. I would say we started that around the 2-week mark. When my milk started coming in and I was able to create a bottle. So my husband has been super on board with being able to step in and help with that. And I just feel great that it's my breast milk and he's able to do that. So I would say immediately, as soon as your milk comes in, start trying to pump and produce enough milk to where you have a bottle. Save that in the fridge and have that so that in the middle of the night your husband can help. And I highly suggest it. Any tips for expecting moms who plan to breastfeed? I would say my biggest tip is to definitely research breast pumps if you would like to, have that backup milk so that your partner can help you. Get that breast pump in before you have your baby so that you have that at home. You don't have to worry about it when baby comes. I thought that was a big help for me. And I would say just have this kind of pillow so that you can have something to help you, support your baby when they're breastfeeding. Outside of that, I would say just don't worry about it too much until your baby comes, because your baby and you will grow together and learn together in this journey. So don't put too much pressure on yourself, as you're anticipating your baby to come. Breathe and know that everything will take its course. Another question says, have you had any issues keeping up supply? I personally have not. I have seen like dips and waves when I breast pump. When I pump that there's like smaller than normal, so that like freaks me out and I get so nervous, but then the next day I'll have more milk. But I haven't had any issues with my baby not being satisfied. We have not had to supplement anymore ever since those first 2 days of life. So I have not had any real big issues with my supply changing. I just have seen different output changes, and it can change varying on the last time I fed in relation to when I pump. It'll be less milk. If I go longer without feeding and I pump, it'll be more milk. So it just fluctuates, and you just have to trust your body that your boobs are providing what you need. Thankfully, my baby's always gained weight whenever we visit the doctor, and we haven't had any issues with that. So just riding that wave. And my last question that I have are, what are some products you've used to alleviate engorgement? So in the beginning, I definitely always made sure I fed. Products I use to relieve it would be heat warmers, which I will link below. So I would just warm those up in the microwave and just put them around my boobs just to relieve that. I would also just massage my boobs. That helps a lot, just to move that milk down, and then pump just to get that milk out. I think the most important thing that I heard from other moms is to make sure you're emptying your boobs on a regular, like scheduled basis, just so your boobs don't collect too much milk in there and then you are engorged, but you're making sure you're emptying and making more room for more milk to come in. So the more you pump, the more milk comes out, but you got to make sure you're emptying those boobs to make sure the milk, you know, has somewhere to go. So thanks so much for the questions that came in. I appreciate it. That's my breastfeeding journey up until this point. It's been awesome. I love breastfeeding. I love the money that we're saving on formula. I love that the bonding that I have with my baby when we're breastfeeding. I love everything about it. I don't want it to end. So I love it. I hope that this provided some clarity and just hope for any new breastfeeding mom or breastfeeding moms out there. I love it so much. So I think it's amazing what our bodies can do, and I'm just so thankful every time I see all the chunky legs and his fat tummy, and just knowing that I'm able to provide food for him. It's just a humbling and it's just an awesome experience. So I love breastfeeding, and I'm so glad I did it. I'm glad I stuck with it. And I hope that this video gave you guys some tips, some tricks, some products that you guys can check out. And of course, let me know if you guys have any questions. Leave them down below. Any comments. I would love to chat with you guys and just know, you know, what you guys are going through. So thanks so much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video.